Hello, my name is Lori Arwood, and I'm a staff counselor at True Life Church in Jefferson City, Tennessee. I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapist, a doctorate in Christian counseling, and I've been a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of Tennessee for over 20 years. And today we're going to talk about how family relationships have been impacted by COVID-19 and some tips that we can use as our families are spending more time together, sometimes not by choice, and how to handle that and to make the most of this time, but also to deal with some of the realities that have come out of that. There isn't any aspect of life that hasn't been impacted in some form or fashion in the past month by the coronavirus. We've seen our dining rooms turned into offices and schoolrooms. We've had to spend more time together. We are facing uncertainty. We're dealing with emotional issues like depression and anxiety, and all of that impacts how our families relate to each other. So physically, we're spending a lot more time together, especially at first when this started. It was rainy and the weather wasn't as good, so there wasn't as much opportunity to get outside and to get a little breathing room, so to speak, and so we were stuck indoors more. And so that has changed a lot of schedules and routines and family time together. Emotionally, everyone in the family is dealing with maybe different fears, different changes in their schedule, different challenges, maybe a loss of income or a change in job status, loss of events. Some people have lost their sports seasons or different family activities that they enjoyed. And then there's the fear over the virus itself, not wanting anyone in your family or that you're close to or that you care about to get sick. And so we've all been dealing with all of these things, and everyone in the family deals with some of those differently. So relationally, everyone's had to deal with separation from friends or possibly co-workers, extended family, community events and community resources and faith communities. Everyone's been disconnected in some ways from those things that were typically outlets for the family. And so what we need to realize is that every family member is dealing with numerous changes and the impacts of those. And due to personality differences, knowing that everybody in your family isn't the same or doesn't handle everything the same or doesn't react in the same way to things, then we're all dealing with knowing that we have varying personalities and varying reactions and different ages and how they deal with things. And so some of the things that impact that may be if a person's more extroverted or introverted. Extroverted people may really be struggling by now to say, I've not had any kind of outlet to get energy from being around people and activities that I enjoyed and loved doing. Introverted people probably still are feeling the impact from being socially distant from people. They may have had an easier time with some of this, but even people that are introverted, it doesn't mean that you don't like people. It just means that you kind of recharge your batteries a little different. Extroverts recharge their batteries from being around people, and introverts need to recharge from being on their own a little bit. We know too that everyone's emotional health is in a different place and everyone's dealing with things differently. And so you combine that with a new schedule, with changes, with anxieties, with economic impact, and more time together, and that can lead to a lot of tension in the family. It can lead to maybe more irritability or not really knowing how to deal with things, or stress over just feeling overwhelmed by all of these things. So I'm going to give some tips for families to be able to manage or cope during this time of spending more time together. So as parents, as the adults in the home, we set the tone. So sometimes we need to kind of do a little look in the mirror to ourselves and say, okay, what am I projecting, onto the kids or the other people in our home? And if setting the tone means that you understand that dealing with things in a healthy way sort of sets the tone for the family. Finding a balance in encouraging everyone to discuss how all these changes, fears, and how all of this has impacted them. Encouraging each family member to see that and to see the challenges that the other people in the home have faced. Sometimes, we're only thinking about how this has impacted us, but we don't maybe realize, some of the things that other people that we live with, how it's impacting them. So finding that balance between looking at how this has impacted everyone in the family, but then and maybe talking about some of the negative aspects of that, but then also finding ways that you can see the positives in it too. So not completely denying the ways that it's impacted negatively, but not just staying there, not focusing only on that, and finding that balance in looking at some of the positive ways, and looking at the opportunities to spend more time together. Making sure there's a good balance in the home of me time and we time. We can tend to get off balance with that on either side. We can just have everybody in their separate spaces and in their rooms on electronics. They're separated constantly, and everybody's sort of locked in their own world in that me time, and not have any we time. Or we can have too much we time. We can have too much where we're right on top of each other, so to speak, and everyone's sort of beginning to grate on each other's nerves. And so finding that balance of having that we time during the day and also that me time. Having a balanced approach to technology and screen time, putting the boundaries up for that. Exercise, being outside, game nights, movie nights. Another thing that's important is during this time to maybe reevaluate family chores. If one person in the family has been sort of taking the brunt or doing all the cleanup and all the cooking and all the work during this time of being home together more, I would say that person's probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed and irritated and stressed at this point. So maybe sitting down together as a family and seeing how can we restructure and reevaluate, because our schedule's changed and we're staying home more. How can we divide chores up in a way that everyone in the family that is of age can participate and can do things, and maybe even a time to train your kids how to do laundry or how to clean up or how to prepare a meal once a week and clean up from that. So use this as an opportunity to maybe redistribute chores and redistribute some of those things so that one person or two people are not feeling just all overwhelmed in the brunt of all that. Think in ways maybe that your family, even with social distancing that we're doing, could serve and help others. Things in the community that are opportunities to serve or to give or to help those less fortunate. There are opportunities in the community and in faith communities where your family could find ways to help and to serve together. Modeling healthy coping skills as adults in the family. Making sure that when you're feeling stressed that you're doing things that you need to do to manage that stress. Still finding ways to have couple time and creative ways to still have date nights even when you can't leave the house and nothing's open, but still being intentional about that. And trying to set up new schedules and new routines that work for the family, setting that structure and that routine, and not just sort of letting each day everybody just fly by the seat of their pants, so to speak, because that can over time increase stress and increase anxiety and overwhelm a family. But as much as possible, when things are unpredictable, finding ways that you can put some predictability into the schedule of your home. And having daily and weekly check-ins, asking, each day, how are you doing today? Is anything bothering you? Or doing that weekly to make sure that you are asking your family and giving them a chance to talk about those things. So I hope that some of these things help and are useful and you can implement those, and that your family can weather this storm and come through it and be a stronger family unit. Thank you.